Hey there, Brian. Chris here, and it is our weekly vlog. And today, I know you're really busy and haven't had a chance to respond to maybe my previous vlog directly, but today marks the end of an era. I am not sure if you knew this about me, but these shirts, so we just had our house renovated, and we just had the bathrooms redone, and they had to have the floors up for certain days, and so our house was a little more open concept in that there was literally holes to the exterior for certain nights, and with that we ended up getting some moths, and so I have some shirts that have been around since college, and they never would die. And as much as my wife may not like these shirts and they look ratty and old, I could never justify getting rid of them. And these moths apparently think that the old shirts are tasty because I have all these little holes here now, and some of them are worse than others. But I think it's time for a few of them to retire, and just thought that I would kind of do that here on stream. I take a lot of my old clothes and I donate them, I guess not on stream, just video, but I take a lot of them and I donate them to Goodwill when like they don't fit right anymore, or you know, something like that, or I'm just trying to downsize my wardrobe. And if they're like this and they don't really have the ability to be donated, then I actually keep them and use them as rags, because, you know, I washed them one last time, they're nice and clean, and they make great cheap rags that you need for things. One of the things that I always regret is when I don't cut them like they're a loop like this, because I end up feeling too lazy to cut them at the time. So I like them to be more, I guess, like rag shaped, where they can like be folded roughly and used. And so I used to actually go in college, and I would go thrifting with your brother Brandon, the Yeti, here on the channel. You guys never really see him, but he does exist. It's how Brian and I know each other. If you haven't seen our how we know each other videos, they're out there. They're up here on the channel. And actually, kind of this is one of the fond memories of college that's going away. Is we used to go to these thrift stores and we would just buy all these ridiculous clothes. And we would also buy our normal clothes there because Brandon and I were living on incredibly cheap budgets. I don't know how often you visited once Brandon and I got our first house together, but when we rented our first house together, it was really close to campus, like a quarter mile from campus, and there were 4 of us living there, and the total rent was like $700. And we didn't split it evenly because we didn't all live evenly. Brandon actually paid the least in rent because Brandon lived in the shed. So he actually lived in the shed out back. We refinished it for him. We left the concrete, it was concrete floored in because the house was old enough that would have been back when your laundry room was an exterior thing to your house. And Brandon actually lived out there. We put a window unit in for him. We kind of refinished out like a nice little glass window, and it was fine. And he lived out there. Lubbock is a desert, Lubbock, Texas, where we went to school, Texas Tech. And he would get really cold at night. One time his Tempur-Pedic pillow actually froze solid, and I remember we were in watching TV, he was trying to go get some sleep, and he came back in, he dropped it on the ground, and it thud. But tearing these shirts up kind of just gives me some fond memories of all of that. I remember that we would live... So my total budget was just above $760 a month, pretty much every semester I was in school, because with student aid and my parents paid 8 semesters of the tuition with my student aid, and the jobs I would work in the off, you know, kind of winter and summer, that was how much I could budget and not run out of money until it was time to come home. And a few times I missed it by a couple bucks, and I literally had to like borrow money from people to pay for my share of the gas to ride back to the Dallas area. And then once we got here, I had to run into the house, like riding in a cab, and ask my mom for the money to pay them back until I could pay my mom back with like my first shift as a waiter. So I remember being really broke, and thrift stores were some of the most fun we had. We would buy ridiculous suits for like theme parties, and we would buy you know, jackets there and shirts there. And on the ski trips I would go on in college, I had these 2 ski jackets, and one leaked in the armpits, and the other one would take on water. And so I would wear the one that kind of took on water. It had like some waterproofing issues that Scotchgard could only really fix so much. And so that one would be soaking wet the first day, and then I would wear the one that leaked in the armpits the second day, and then on the third day of skiing I could go back to the first one while this one dried out in here, and I could go back and forth, and we'd go skiing for 4 days a year. And somehow I made that work on these dirt cheap budgets. This is a really big rag. So I think we'll cut this in half one more time. And I just have all these fond memories of being that broke. The one big one was food. If you could get food under $5 a day, you really had a lot of room in your budget for things like school supplies and stuff like that. And the way we would do that is we would, first of all, we would go to all the churches, and the Lubbock had, at least at the time, had more churches per capita than any other city in the country at the time that we were there in college, and I don't know if it still holds that record. And so you would go to all these churches around campus, and they would, you know, they were excited to have young people around and try to get these college kids to, you know, hear them out and go to these little studies, these little Bible studies. So if you kind of heard them out and would listen to them say their piece and would let them pray over your food, they would feed you for free. And so we would go, and we'd be, you know, Lutheran on Monday and Baptist on Tuesday and Catholic on Wednesday, and we were just willing to listen to anybody say their piece in order for some homemade slice of lasagna or whatever they were serving. And then on the weekends they wouldn't do this, and so if you were involved in the youth group, there was these, they would charge you $1 and you could go to what's called dollar dinner. So we were really involved. Brandon and Brian are Catholic, and so I would go to Brandon's Catholic parish with him, and then for $1 we could eat on Sundays, and then the only missing day was Saturday. Well, Saturday mornings, if you go serve at a soup kitchen in Lubbock, you can actually ask them, I'm sure you can do this at any soup kitchen, when they're done, if you can have the leftover food. Now you're gonna get some weird looks because they kind of just stare at you like, why do you want this? But we would take the leftover food, and then you could pair that, if you needed like a good starch, with the bread and stuff off of the old bread aisle in the store. I don't know if the stores wherever you guys live have this, but there's like a day old, like it's gonna go bad tomorrow bread, and you can go buy food off of that, and then you can pair that with whatever they were serving at the soup kitchen. So whatever leftover broth or whatever local restaurants had donated, and you could get a pretty decent meal, and it was cheaper than ramen, cheaper than McDonald's, because we would base our budgets off of calories per dollar. So we were really broke, and cutting these shirts up is just a sad end to an era. So that's really it for this week. I've got one more shirt to cut up here, but hopefully that enlightens you a little more on me and Brandon's life, and it's just a fun time to look back on what we did to get by, and how now I take these little things for granted, that like I eat reasonable food whenever I want, and if my shirts have holes in it, I don't have to wear them. And if I want a new shirt, I can buy the one I want instead of the one available in my size at the thrift store. So, thanks for hanging out, Brian. Hope you're having a fantastic week, and I will talk to you next week.
Hey, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video. You should click over here to see more videos just like it, or you should click down here to check out our recent vlog. But you can also click somewhere down here below to hit the subscribe button, as well as check out our other info. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.